My dear students and viewers, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to my online class. I am Murshida Imam, Assistant Professor, Department of English, Govt Shahid, Suhrawardy College, Dhaka. Today I am here for the students of Honours First Year, Department of English. My dear students, how are you? Hope you are fine and doing your online classes regularly. My dear students, I am very glad to see that you have submitted your homework in your group spontaneously. My dear students, I have observed your homework and I have an advice for you, that is, you have to be more careful about grammatical mistake and also about spelling mistake. Okay, you have to improve your writing skill. My dear students, I want to give you an idea about those topics once again. Be attentive, please. Okay, after discussing our previous topics, I will start reading the text. Okay, my dear students, at first essay. You have to ask to write a short note on essay. That is, what is essay? Yes, an essay is a discussion in prose of a certain topic. Okay, and an essay may be classified as formal or informal depending on its subject and style. Then what is the formal essay? Yes, the formal essay is characterized by qualities of dignity, serious purpose and logical organization. Examples range from the brief serious magazine article to scientific or philosophical treatises of book length. And the informal essay, yes, the informal essay, sometimes called the true essay, includes moderately brief instructive essays such as Bacon's, periodical essays such as Edison's, and personal essays such as Lamb's. And among the qualities that mark an essay as informal are humor, graceful style, a personal element, unconventionality or novelty of theme, and freedom from stiffness and affectation. Okay, now my dear students, aphorism. Aphorism, what is aphorism? Yes, aphorism means a short remark which contains a general truth. A short remark which contains a general truth, and it's a short pithy statement of a truth or doctrine, and it is similar to an aphorism or maxim. Okay, my dear students, and we will find all those qualities while reading the text, that is the essay of Studies by Francis Bacon. And epigrammatic style. What is an epigrammatic style? Yes, epigrammatic style means expressing something in a brief, clever and amusing way. Mark those words, please, my dear students. A brief, that is expressing something in a brief, clever and amusing way, and we will find this style in Bacon's prose. Okay, when we will read the text, we will find this quality, and then you are called to write down about didacticism. Okay, it's a philosophy or it's a doctrine, that is didactic. What is didactic? Means what do you mean by didactic? Yes, didactic is designed for the purpose of teaching something or seeming to treat the reader or audience like a child in school. Okay, didactic, that is, it is designed for the purpose of teaching something. Okay, and my dear students, then utilitarianism. Okay, utilitarianism, how do you mean by it? Yes, it's a philosophy based on utilitarian principles. Then what do you mean by utilitarian? Yes, utilitarian is designed to be useful. Okay, it means designed to be useful and practical rather than attractive. Okay, and it supports the belief that the actions are good if they are useful or benefit the greatest number of people. Okay, then that's all about our previous homework. My dear students, try to write down your previous homework once again by yourself. Okay, my dear students, and Bacon's essays are brief and full of condensed, weighty, antithetical sentences which have the qualities of proverbial expressions and are notable for their precision and clarity of phrasing. Okay, and we'll see that Bacon's most of the essays of Bacon's have striking openings. Okay, now my dear students, get ready with your textbook. Please, we will start reading the text now. My dear students, of studies is one of Bacon's most popular essays. Okay, and go to open your textbook please, and go to first line or first sentence of the essay. And my dear students, Bacon in this essay, Bacon describes the nature and functions of studies. Okay, he describes the nature and functions of studies, the purposes of studies. Okay, and look at the first sentence of that is the opening line of the essay please. What is the opening line of the essay? You can see, my dear students, studies serve for delight, for ornament and for ability. Okay, it's the first line of the essay of studies by Francis Bacon, and you see it's a striking opening which I mentioned earlier, that is a striking opening. Okay, it's also an a quality of Bacon's prose style. Okay, then opening is very much striking, that is studies serve for delight, for ornament and for ability. And we have told that it's an epigrammatic style too, and we find aphorism and didacticism and also utilitarianism. All those qualities are found in the very beginning of the essay of studies. Okay, now I will explain the line for you, my dear students, and you will also be your homework. Okay, for our next class, that is explain the following line. Okay, studies serve for delight, for ornament studies serve for delight, for ornament and for ability. You have to explain the line. Now listen to me carefully, and it will be also your homework today. Okay, my dear students, that is here what is Bacon saying here, my dear students? Here we see that Bacon is saying to us that is studies are a source of delight. Okay, in one's leisure time and solitude. Okay, that is studies serve for delight. What is the use? What are the uses of studies is mentioned here? The uses of reading. Okay, the studies serve for delight. That means studies studies useful in giving pleasure. It gives us pleasure. For delight means pleasure, and study is useful in giving pleasure. Then for ornament, what do you mean by ornament, my dear students? Yes, that is it doesn't mean ornament for to beautify your physical appearance. Okay, physical beauty. Here ornament means for decorating one's conversation. Okay, for decorating one's conversation. Okay, so here you see, so my dear students, here we see that Bacon is saying to us that studies also have an ornamental value. Okay, studies have an ornamental value to decorate your speech. Okay, to decorate our speech we use studies. Okay, so our studies have an ornamental value. Then he's saying that for ability, that means increasing efficiency in transacting business. That is to my dear students, that is studies increase our ability, that is the study of books increases one's practical ability. For here ability means here practical ability, that is it increases one's ability and shrewdness in the practical business of life. Okay, the well-read man acquires an ability to handle business matters successfully. His handling of human affairs also becomes more sound and impressive, but an uneducated person can never do that. Okay, so my dear students, in the very first line of the essay of studies, we see that according to Bacon, a study of books is useful from 3 points of view. Okay, firstly it gives pleasure. Books give pleasure to a man in his hours of leisure. We will find it in our next line. And secondly, the study of books has a decorative value, that is an ornamental value or a decorative value. From reading books, we get ornaments of language such as illustrations, quotations, etc. And we can use them to embellish our conversation. So it's study of books have studies of book have an ornamental value, that is a decorative value. It makes our conversation more charming. Okay, and then thirdly, as Bacon says that study of books increases one's practical ability, that is it increases our practical ability. Okay, now my dear students, go to next line. Their chief use for delight is in privateness and retiring, for ornament is in discourse, and for ability is in the judgment and disposition of business. Okay, actually I have explained those lines before, but I am explaining the line once again for you. My dear students, their chief use, there means here studies of books. Okay, studies, the chief use of reading here, the chief use for delight is in privateness and retiring. When do you get delight from your studies, my dear students? Yes, is in privateness and retiring, that is in seclusion and leisure time. When you will read, you will get delight from your reading. Okay, and for ornament is in discourse, that is discourse means conversation or discussion. You have acquired ornament from your studies. How can you guess it? Yes, my dear students, it proves in your discourse, in your discussion, in your conversation. Okay, and for ability is in the judgment and disposition of business. Okay, my dear students, here is the disposition of business means planning and management of the practical affairs of life. Okay, when you will be successful in planning and management of the practical affairs of life, then we can say that yes, the purpose of studies have been fulfilled here. Okay, so according to Francis Bacon, we see that here books give pleasure to a man in his hours of leisure when he has no company. Okay, and we can enjoy it in the seclusion of our private life. It is delightful in privateness. And secondly, we see that the study of books has a decorative value, but when how can we see that? That is, from reading books, man can get ornaments of language such as illustrations, quotations. Okay, and when he can use them to embellish his conversation, okay, it makes his conversation more charming. So we see that in his daily conversation, in his discussion, okay, we get the proof of his study, that is he has acquired the ornaments, okay, of from studies. Then thirdly, we see that it makes studies of books increase one's practical ability. How can we get the proof of it? Yes, our handling of human affairs also becomes more sound and impressive, we see, and in our daily, that is in our practical business of life. Okay, in the practical business of life, it increases our ability and shrewdness. Okay, so we see that thirdly, we see that studies help develop one's ability to judge and handle one's affair with ease and success. And it is the learned man who can be expected to formulate general plans and policies and manage the business in its overall aspect. So, my dear students, next go to our next line, please. For expert men can execute and perhaps judge of particulars one by one, but the general counsels and the plots and marshalling of affairs come best from those that are learned. Okay, my dear students, here how do you see, that is Bacon is saying here that general, for expert men. What do you mean by expert men, my dear students? Yes, expert men means men of experience. Okay, men of experience. And execute, that means implement or carry out. So you see, expert men, that is men of experience, can implement or carry out and perhaps judge of particulars, that is form a correct opinion about the individual matters or the details of matter. Okay, so we see that an expert man or that is a man of experience can implement, judge of particulars, that is form a correct opinion about the individual matters. My dear students, mark the word please, individual matters or the details of matter. Okay, particular matters they can solve one by one, but the general counsels advice regarding the matter as a whole. General counsels means advice regarding the matter as a whole. Okay, for general counseling and the plots and marshalling. Marshalling means, my dear students, how do you mean by marshalling? Yes, marshalling means overall planning and arrangement. Overall planning or overall planning and arrangement. We need what? Yes, my dear students, and the plots and marshalling of affairs come best from those that are learned. Okay, plots means plans, and marshalling means overall planning and arrangement. So, what do you see here? It is the learned man who can be expected to formulate general plans and policies and manage the business in its overall aspect. Okay, overall aspect. So, my dear students, you see in this line, that is men of experience certainly have the capacity of dealing with individual or particular matters as they come along. Okay, but the planning of an overall strategy, the laying down of policies and the designing and systematic arrangement of the individual matters into an integrated whole can be expected only from learned person, those who have gained knowledge from wide reading. Okay, here that is you have that is the threefold balance of the sentences. Okay, you have to note here the threefold balance of the sentence. Okay, now my dear students, go to our next line. Read the next sentence, please. That is, what is the next sentence, my dear students? To spend too much time in studies is sloth. To use them too much for ornament is affectation. To make judgment wholly by their rules is the humor of a scholar. My dear students, the first line of the essay is very, very important for explanation, and then this line is also very, very important for explanation. Okay, mark this line, please. To spend too much time in studies is sloth. What do you mean by it, my dear students? To spend too much time in studies is sloth. That is, sloth means, how do you mean by sloth? That is laziness or indolence. Okay, write down please. That is, sloth means laziness or indolence. Okay, so if you read too much, if you spend your time much in reading, okay, what will happen? It will make you sloth, it will make you lazy, okay. It's the identity of laziness, okay. It is a sign of laziness to spend too much time on studies, okay. Then you see, to use them too much for ornament is affectation, okay. What do you mean by affectation? Yes, affectation means pedantry or showing off, okay. Pedantry or showing off. So to use too much of what one studies in one's conversation, that is to decorate your speech, to decorate one's speech, if he uses ornaments, too much ornaments, then it will be sign of pedantry or vain display of learning, it will be a show off, okay. And then to make judgment wholly by their rules is the humor of a scholar. Here humor means whim, or that is eccentricity. Humor means eccentricity or whim, okay. So to let one's judgment depend entirely on the rules learned from a book shows the eccentricity of a scholar, okay. Now my dear students, so my dear students, here in this line, in this sentence, we see that here Bacon makes it clear that only bookish attitude does not serve any purpose, okay. Actually here Bacon describes the abuses of studies, okay, the abuses of studies, that is the purpose of studies to supply us with joy and grace, but spending too much time in studies is not desirable. It is idle to devote too much time to studies. To make life fruitful, a man should not devote too much time to studies. Paying too much attention to studies only takes a man away from the path of fruitful action. So we have to avoid too much studies, okay, according to Bacon. Then we should try to make the best use of time in useful action. That is, there are men who use studies as an ornament of culture and they feel proud of that, and Bacon calls it pretense, okay, in the learned man, and there is a tendency to show off his learning, and the learned man does to impress other people. This display of learning is nothing but an affectation on his part. So Bacon is saying that we should keep in mind that a man's judgment, however scholarly he may be, should not be wholly dependent on the rules or principles laid down in books, and if he is wholly guided by them, his direct evidence of his life will be snapped. He may be pedantic, but his pedantry may not have much value in life. So we see that Bacon is very much practical in his speech, okay. That is, Bacon, from a rational empirical point of view, Bacon judges the usefulness of studies here, okay. That is, he has made it clear that studies should have a prolific and useful aim through action. Go to the next sentence, please. Read the next sentence. That is, they perfect nature and are perfected by experience, for natural abilities are like natural plants that need pruning by study. My dear student, mark this line once again. This is very, very, very important for explanation. Okay, mark this line, please. That is the perfect nature. What do you mean by they? Yes, studies. Okay, studies perfect nature. Here nature means, what do you mean by nature here, my dear students? Here here nature means human nature, okay. So you see that studies the perfect nature, that means studies correct what is wrong in human nature, okay. And not only that, they refine and enlighten human nature and remove the shortcomings. Only studies cannot make human knowledge adequate and complete, okay, but and are perfected by experience. That is, studies itself are perfected, that is studies themselves are perfected by experience. Okay, only that is something else is needed, and that is experience. Only studies cannot make human knowledge adequate and complete. Something else is needed, and what is it? That is experience. So you see, only bookish knowledge cannot lead us far. This kind of knowledge is academic in character, but bookish knowledge is perfected by the direct practical experience of life. Only bookish knowledge leads to pedantry, and without a direct contact with the practical world of business, it can never be prolific. So, academic learning should go hand in hand with the direct experience of life. And this, that is, every man is born with certain natural abilities, and these abilities should be properly cultivated and improved through studies. That is, natural abilities are like natural plants, and they need trimming from time to time, you know. So here Bacon is saying that for natural abilities are like natural plants that need pruning by study. Okay, and studies themselves do give forth directions to mass at large, except they be bounded in by experience. My students, so you see that here, that is natural abilities are like natural plants. It's a metaphor, my students, mark it. It's a use of metaphor. Okay, natural abilities are like natural plants, and they need trimming from time to time, and the studies help in the like manner to cultivate and improve the natural abilities of man. But we should keep in mind that academic learning should be aided by practical experience of life. Otherwise, our heads will be filled by vague ideas which may not come to our help. And such vague ideas should be made concrete by the direct and practical experience of life. Only then they will serve fruitful purpose of life. So, my dear students, a blending of learning and experience, mark it please, a blending of learning and experience is to be needed. A blending of learning and experience. So you see here, according to Bacon, that is, study and experience should go hand in hand. They should be mutually complementary. Okay, and the study of books makes good the natural deficiencies of a man, and practical experience teaches one how to use this knowledge gained from books. Okay, and comparing natural abilities with a natural or wild plant, Bacon says that just as a plant left to nature needs trimming, a man's natural abilities are to be shaped and developed by the study of books. Studies by themselves are not enough, as they provide guidance which is too vague and abstract. So you see, experience of practical life has to be added to studies to make it useful. Then read the next sentence, please. Crafty men contemn studies, simple men admire them, and wise men use them. This line is also very important for explanation, my dear students, and also for quotation. Okay, when you will write down the answer, that is describe Bacon's prose style. Okay, when we'll write down the aphorism or epigrammatic style, you have to quote this line. Okay, crafty men contemn studies. What do you mean by crafty men, my dear students? Crafty men, yes, you know, crafty means cunning or shrewd. Okay, shrewd person or a cunning person, cunning man. What do? They contemn studies. They contemn studies. That is, contemn means considered as useless. Okay, they consider studies as useless. Crafty men contemn studies. That is, shrewd person, a clever person, a shrewd person. Okay, how do? They look down upon studies as useless. Okay, then what do the simple men do? Simple men admire them. Okay, you know, simple men, the very common man, common person. Okay, simple person, what do? They just admire them. That is, simple men are out and look with wonder at studies. Okay, And what do the wise men do? And wise men use them, my dear students. It's this sentence looks like a proverb or maxim. Okay, it is the wise man. It is the wise man, a man who uses studies in practical life. So, my dear students, you see that Bacon is a practical moralist. Okay. Then we see, for they teach not their own use, but that is a wisdom without them and above them, owned by observation. Here, Bacon is saying that knowledge is derived from a book, but a book will not tell how to use that knowledge. Okay, knowledge is derived from a book, but a book will not tell how to use that knowledge. That is, the use of knowledge can be learned only through the observation of people and their manners and life in general. The wisdom of using the knowledge gained from books is outside the scope of books and is superior to what can be found in books. So, my dear students, here we see that books do not tell one how to use the knowledge they provide. Rather, what happened? Yes, that is experience of life, that is observation of the people and the goings on in the world outside. Okay, that can be helpful for us. Okay, now, my dear students, that's all for today. In our next class we will read, or we will start from this line, that is, read not to contradict and confute. From here we will start. So that's all today. Now, my dear students, it's time to give you homework. Get ready to write down your homework, please. My dear students, you have to explain those lines. Write down in this way, that is, explain the following lines. Okay, explain. First line, that is number 1, studies serve for delight, for ornament and for ability. You have to explain the line. Then number 2, okay, number 2, they perfect nature and are perfected by experience, for natural abilities are like natural plants that need pruning by study. Then number 3, crafty men contempt studies, simple men admire them, and wise men use them. Okay, these 3 lines you have to explain. It's your homework. And then write down 2 questions, that is, write short questions. Question number 1, what are the advantages of studies? Question number 1, write down please, what are the advantages of studies? Question number 2, what are the abuses of studies? What are the abuses of studies? Those 2 short questions and 3 explanations. Okay, these are your homework for your next class. Hope all of you will do your homework. Okay, my dear students, and then be healthy, be sound and healthy, my dear students. Don't be depressed, don't be upset. Okay, be regular with your studies and keep connected with us through our online classes. My dear students, no more today. See you again in our next class. Till then, goodbye. Allah Hafiz.